Everyone should be unbelievably excited. You know, after XRPL and XRP are over 13 years old, the crypto space is maybe 15 years old. It's all happening now.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Future Millionaire. Hope you're all crushing it today, no matter where you're watching from around the world. Today we're diving deep into XRP, and I've got some fascinating insights to share with you. So check this out. Crypto basics analyst BlockBull just dropped some serious analysis saying that Franklin Templeton's XRP ETF could literally save XRP from crashing down to 66 cents. Now that's a bold statement, so let's break this down together. Here's what's happening in the market right now. We're seeing tons of chatter about Bitcoin and the broader crypto space. A lot of analysts are predicting Bitcoin might pump one more time before we see a major correction. Some are calling for drops below 50K, others saying 70K. If that scenario plays out, and I'm being completely honest with you here, XRP would probably get dragged down with it, maybe settling around $1.70. But here's the million-dollar question. How exactly would Franklin Templeton's XRP ETF protect us from that crash? Let's get real for a second. Look at what happened with every other crypto ETF launch. The pattern is crystal clear. ETF goes live, price immediately tanks in the opposite direction. It's like clockwork, right? Here's the thing though, and this is crucial for your investment strategy. We're not going to see any real price appreciation from these ETFs until something major happens. We need to see supply absolutely disappear from the market. That's the key factor everyone's missing. Once those over-the-counter desks run completely dry of XRP, that's when things get really interesting. The price action could be explosive. And get this, if we see 10 billion in ETF inflows creating a liquidity crunch, some analysts are projecting XRP could hit $47. Now that's the kind of move that creates generational wealth, people. Now here's what's really wild. That $47 target, that's actually being conservative. I'm seeing other analysts throwing around some absolutely mind-blowing numbers. We're talking $589, $800, some even predicting $1,300 and beyond. I know those sound crazy, but let me explain why these aren't just random numbers people are pulling out of thin air. At the end of the day, it all boils down to basic economics, supply and demand. And here's the honest truth. We simply won't know the real impact until XRP actually starts disappearing from exchanges. Right now, everyone's making educated guesses about how ETF demand will affect pricing, but we're all essentially shooting in the dark until it actually happens. Here's when things get crystal clear though. Once we enter true price discovery mode and we can see those ETF inflows in real time, that's when we'll have concrete data to understand just how explosive this move could be. The numbers will speak for themselves at that point. But here's what I'm absolutely certain about, and you can take this to the bank. We are going to see a major breakout on XRP. The question isn't if, it's when and how massive it's going to be. The fundamentals are all lining up perfectly, and when this thing finally pops, it's going to be one for the history books. So stay tuned, keep accumulating if this fits your investment strategy, and let's watch this unfold together. This could be the opportunity we've all been waiting for. All right, so Bill Morgan just dropped some serious wisdom that I think you need to hear. He's asking the perfect question. How can this possibly be a sell the news event when there wasn't even a buy the rumor phase? Think about it for a second. XRP was literally grinding downward through September and October, way before the XRPC launch happened last week. The math just doesn't add up, right? Now, Zach Rector is calling this an official 20% sell the news pullback for XRP, but honestly, I'm not buying that narrative at all. Here's what I think really went down, and this is crucial for understanding the bigger picture. Bitcoin absolutely crashed out, and like always, it dragged the entire market down with it. That's the real story here. The ETFs haven't had their true impact on XRP yet because, and this is key, there's still way too much supply floating around the market. But here's where things get really interesting. That supply could get absolutely devoured in a matter of days or even hours. I broke this down in detail in my previous video, so definitely check that out if you haven't already. Until that supply crunch actually happens though, we're basically just following Bitcoin's lead like we always do. But, and this is where it gets exciting, if we start seeing money flow out of Bitcoin ETFs and into XRP, Solana, and Ethereum ETFs, this could be the exact moment where altcoins finally break free from Bitcoin's grip. Imagine that scenario for a second. True decoupling from Bitcoin. That's when the real fireworks begin, and that's exactly what we might be setting up for right now. This comes from John Squire, Bitwise CEO Hunter Horsley at Ripples. Remember when he said this, right? And now they have an ETF. Take a listen.
Everyone should be unbelievably excited. You know, after XRPL and XRP are over 13 years old, the crypto space is maybe 15 years old. It's all happening now. This space for the first time is going mainstream in 2025. Part of going mainstream means that there are people coming on board, incredible institutions here at Swell who are building services, integrating, but they're mainstream by definition because they're doing other things also. And that means for them, a month is super fast, a quarter is fast. And so I think in the crypto space, the timeframes that people are familiar with are just getting pushed out. And there's a little bit of relearning how to interpret the news flow as a byproduct. But I will unequivocally say we've been around for 7, 8 years now. I have never seen it feel as inevitable as it does right now in this year that crypto is arriving to update the financial system and will be a mainstream asset class.
Yeah. Steve.
Listen to this. He's literally telling us that a completely new financial system is on the horizon. And guess what? Bitwise just launched their ETF, which honestly, we all saw coming from a mile away, right? But here's what caught my attention. He mentioned that things seem to be getting pushed out timeline-wise, and you know what? That actually makes perfect sense when you think about it. We were the early adopters. We beat the big institutions to the crypto party. But now those same institutions are finally waking up and flooding into this space. If you got into XRP when you did, consider yourself incredibly fortunate. And this is exactly why I keep hammering this point home in every single video. You need to position yourself now, before the real price appreciation kicks in. Because once institutional money starts flowing, it's not going to slow down. We're talking month after month of sustained inflows. And here's where my thinking has completely shifted. Remember how everyone, including myself in previous videos, was calling for a major top in early 2026? I was right there with everyone saying, expect the peak around early 2026. But you know what? This market has thrown every prediction out the window. I never in my wildest dreams thought XRP would drop back below $3, let alone crash under $2. Nobody saw this coming. And honestly, I believe this Bitcoin crash was completely coordinated. There's something much bigger happening behind the scenes while everyone's distracted by the price action. But here's the silver lining. Today marks an absolutely historic moment for XRP. Bitwise just announced their support and praised XRP publicly. This is massive validation from one of the biggest players in the ETF space. All right, so let me share what Matt Hougan and Hunter Horsley just said after their spot ETF went live, because this is absolutely massive for our community. They're calling this a historic moment, and here's why that matters so much. According to them, XRP is incredibly compelling for several key reasons. First, it's been running flawlessly for years at extremely low costs. We're talking about an asset that handles massive trading volumes without breaking a sweat. And let's be honest, we've got one of the strongest, most passionate communities in all of crypto. But here's the game changer. Matt Hougan said that under the new cryptocurrency regulatory framework, XRP is now on completely equal footing with other digital assets. Think about what that means for a second. The market is finally going to see what XRP is truly capable of. And this is coming from Matt Hougan, a guy who's been a Bitcoin maximalist forever. Even he's recognizing XRP's potential now. Hunter Horsley's statement absolutely blew me away, though. He said they're excited to help investors get exposure to an asset that has the potential to fundamentally change how money moves around the entire world. That's not just marketing speak. That's recognition of XRP's real-world utility. And here's what's really fascinating. While everyone's obsessing over daily price movements, there's this massive financial infrastructure being built in the background. XRP isn't just another speculative crypto. It's positioning itself to be the backbone of how money flows globally on a daily basis. This is the bigger picture that most people are completely missing right now. Okay, this is huge news that just broke this morning. And I need you to pay close attention to these numbers because they tell an incredible story. Bitwise just seeded their XRP ETF with over 1.1 million XRP. We're talking about 1,119,660 XRP tokens to be exact, valued at $277 million. That's a massive initial commitment right out of the gate. But here's what's really important for you to understand. Everything from today forward represents brand new acquisitions. What does that mean? It means they already had this XRP stockpiled and ready to go. They came prepared for launch day. Now here's where it gets really exciting. As investors start pouring money into this ETF on a daily basis, Bitwise is going to be forced to go out and buy more XRP from the open market. We're not talking about a one-time purchase. This is going to be consistent, ongoing buying pressure. And this is basic supply and demand economics at work. As we watch this XRP supply get absorbed day after day, week after week, the price has literally no choice but to go up. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when and how much. Think about it. Every single dollar that flows into this ETF creates direct buying pressure on XRP. The more successful this ETF becomes, the more XRP gets removed from circulation. This is the supply crunch scenario we've been talking about finally playing out in real time. This is exactly why timing matters so much right now. I absolutely love this next quote from Stephen McClur. And honestly, I wish everyone in the crypto community had this mindset. Listen to what he said. Huge congratulations to our friends at Bitwise on their XRP ETF today. We are showing Wall Street that you don't have to be BlackRock to launch top 5 ETFs of 2025. We are rooting for you to get this one in the top 5 too, as long as you don't knock us out first. Now that's class right there. Do you see what he's doing? He's congratulating his direct competition because he understands something that a lot of people in this space still don't get. When one crypto succeeds, we all succeed. This isn't a zero-sum game where XRP's victory means Bitcoin loses or Ethereum's success hurts Solana. The entire cryptocurrency ecosystem grows stronger when any major player gets institutional adoption. Stephen gets it. This is about legitimizing the entire space. When Bitwise launches a successful XRP ETF, it opens doors for everyone. It shows traditional finance that crypto isn't just Bitcoin. It proves there's room for multiple assets to thrive. But here's what cracks me up. Bitcoin maximalists still haven't gotten this memo. They're still stuck in this tribal mentality, acting like any success outside of Bitcoin somehow threatens their investment. Meanwhile, the smart money understands that a rising tide lifts all boats. The more ETFs we get approved, the more mainstream adoption we see, the better it is for everyone holding any cryptocurrency. This is the kind of collaborative spirit that's going to drive our entire industry forward. All right, here comes another massive update that's going to blow your mind. The SEC just gave the green light to 21 Shares Form 8, which officially clears the path for their spot XRP ETF to start trading on the CBOE BZX exchange. And get this, it looks like this one's going live sometime next week, right alongside the Franklin Templeton ETF. Can you believe that? We're literally watching ETF after ETF get approved back to back. This is the institutional floodgates opening right before our eyes. Here's what's really exciting though. Every single one of these ETFs is going to see incredible inflows. And how do I know that? Because these massive financial institutions wouldn't have even bothered filing for these ETFs if they didn't already know the demand was absolutely massive. Think about it for a second. Companies like Franklin Templeton and 21 Shares don't just throw millions of dollars at regulatory filings and hope for the best. They do their homework. They know there's institutional demand waiting in the wings, and they're positioning themselves to capture it. This is validation on a scale we've never seen before. We're not talking about 1 or 2 ETFs anymore. We're looking at an entire ecosystem of institutional products all focused on XRP. But here's the million-dollar question that everyone's asking. Just how high would XRP need to go to actually flip Bitcoin? Let me break down those numbers for you, because what I'm about to show you might completely change how you think about XRP's potential. So people are buzzing about this again, and for good reason. Right now, XRP would need to hit around $30.48 to flip Bitcoin's market cap. But remember, this number changes as Bitcoin's price moves too. Here's my honest prediction, and I want you to really think about this scenario. With all these ETF inflows creating genuine scarcity, I absolutely believe we're going to flip Bitcoin. And Ethereum? That's practically guaranteed at this point. I think we'll be sitting at number 2 very soon once this breakout really gets going. XRP flipping Ethereum is going to be easy money. But here's the big question. Can we actually flip Bitcoin's entire market cap during this run? I think there's a very, very strong chance we do exactly that. And when that happens, game over. Everything changes overnight. The mainstream media will have no choice but to cover XRP as the dominant force in crypto. All that FUD we've been dealing with for years, gone forever. Those Bitcoin maximalists will either disappear completely or make up wild excuses about how it was some kind of market glitch. But they'll never FUD XRP again. Mark my words on that. Here's what I keep coming back to, though. Everyone's calling for these massive 80 to 90% crashes. But how does that even happen? We've got consistent ETF inflows, XRP supply disappearing from exchanges everywhere. We're heading straight into scarcity mode. Where exactly do these major pullbacks come from? The math just doesn't add up to me. And then you add the Clarity Act into the mix. Plus, we still don't know what kind of value ISO 20022 is going to bring. And that goes live tomorrow. Think about the timing here. We're going to get our first real look at ISO's impact very soon. When you combine Clarity, ETF inflows, and ISO implementation all happening at once, you've got the perfect storm for XRP to absolutely dominate this cycle and flip Bitcoin's market cap. But like I always tell this amazing community, until it happens, stay patient, stay positive, and let's build wealth together. All right, everyone, that's going to wrap up today's video. Thank you so much for watching and being part of this incredible journey. I'll catch you in the next one. Have an amazing night and keep stacking.